I already did a video like this, but it was really unscripted and really bad, so I am re-upping this for the Autistic Guide. We love mindlessly grinding things, you know? I was talking to someone a while back who was asking me, does practicing my anti-airs in training mode really actually make me any better at anti-airing in a real match? And it's complicated. I get it. Anti-airing is mostly about mental stack, preparation, and doing a drill in training mode doesn't even come close to replicating the mental pressure that you're under in a real match, or the guesswork that's involved, the personality that's involved, or the necessity to look for multiple things at once and be prepared for some variety of all of them. On the other hand, yes, training your anti-airs for an hour a day in training mode will make you stronger. If you do half an hour a day of drilling certain things within a given week, you will notice an improvement in your mental and physical ability to do those things. Your consistency will still be determined by your mental state and your focus in the moment, and it can be cluttered by other factors that affect your mental state and focus and make you worse than you normally are, blah blah, but your ability will generally improve by just rote practice. In a training session, I would say you work on 3 things. Rote practice, as in beating an action or a reaction into your head and your hands. Like a whetstone, it helps keep your skills sharp. It's more like maintaining your current state. Refinement, as in testing methods of doing things better. Pushing yourself to do the things that you can already do, but faster and smoother and better. And then molding, as in pushing yourself to a state of physical and mental exhaustion to put your body in the state in which it will rebuild itself to be better suited to your causes. That's how most exercise works. You work a muscle, and it strains, and it damages it, and then over a period in the near future, it rebuilds itself to be stronger than it was before. Now, your memory and your muscle memory work pretty similarly. You can practice until you're exhausted, and through that exhaustion, your play gets sloppier, but by practicing the proper technique that you're trying to achieve, overnight, your brain will remake your exhausted muscle memory, whatever, into the shape that you were trying to force it to be. Most of this growth actually happens while you're asleep, okay? Which is why it's important to eat and sleep well as well, to promote your mind and body's ability to change itself. So I'm going to detail a whole boatload of drills, and you can run these for yourself in training mode. 1. Anti-air training. Basic of basics, you ought to practice this probably more than anything else. Set up a dummy with a bunch of recordings for small basic movements, adjust the frequencies as you please, add 1 or 2 forward jump options, then start anti-airing. The important parts that you're training here are muscle memory, execution, space recognition, and preparation. When you're training yourself to react to something, it's important not to just do the drills mindlessly, but to also experiment with your own brain to see how you can think about your own focus, how you can optimize your hands, how you can optimize your reaction speed itself. When you react to something in a fighting game, as I've talked about before, there's 3 steps to the process. Your sensory, your eyes and your ears, pick up the stimuli. There's only so much you can do to speed up this process. You can't magically make your nervous system function faster. The most you can do is meticulously study the animations of things that you're looking for in order to react to the earliest possible sensory indication, right? For example, I remember SK was talking about on one of the previous Sajam Slams that she trained herself through normal day activities by having headphones on that would randomly do the drive impact sound effect, and thus train herself with Pavlovian conditioning to have her twitch her counter DI button finger based on this audio cue. The second part of reacting is making decisions. You can save a lot more time than you would think during this phase by proactively thinking to yourself in your brain that you're going to execute whatever input you're going to execute as soon as you confirm the stimuli. You'd be frankly shocked how much faster you can react to things, especially complex inputs like a DP anti-air, if you just force yourself to act faster instead of just letting your body go at the pace that it would normally go at. Literally just say to yourself, just do the buttons faster. You'd be surprised at how much faster you can do them. The last part of reacting is execution. Your fingers performing the action you want them to. You can always improve your execution speed through practice. Always. An important part of anti-air training and any other reaction-based training is not just training yourself to respond to stimuli in a vacuum, but also start training yourself to look for stimuli in a variety of situations. You're not just training how to anti-air when sitting still in neutral, you're training how to look for anti-airs while doing other things or while having other things done to you. Playing footsies, input a low forward buffered into a drive rush, but also start pumping DP in case you need to anti-air. Whenever you do something that will take care of itself, like buffering a button into a drive rush, or pressing a poke or whatever, or throwing a fireball, any time that you do something that will take care of itself, and you're free to not think about the action you just performed, then you can immediately shift your focus and shift your hands' preparation to reacting to jump-ins and other stuff. And you need to practice this mental shift. Do things, but then pump DP, etc. Once you're used to this, you'll find it's easier to anti-air while whiffing something, like King can do his big-ass standing light kick, it'll take up a lot of space, and then he can pump TP while the light kick is occupying that space, and he can focus entirely on the jump game. This is especially for faster jumping characters, like dive kick characters like Cammy. You want to do this in neutral, on offense, and on defense. When you walk up and hit a button, look for anti-air instantly. Anytime you do a throw, look for anti-air instantly. If you're on defense, on wake up, look for anti-air in case the opponent neutral jumps to shimmy you, right? If you're not going to tech, then just look for an anti-air. If you stay blocking, do a delay jab or whatever, once you whiff the delay jab, pump an anti-air. Instantly, when you whiff a button in neutral, put your eyes in the air, okay? There are other little tricks that you can use in a vacuum to make anti-airing easier in some situations. For example, if you do a poke, if you input a backdash in neutral or something, it's a perfect way to pump an anti-air DP while being safe on the ground, because you move out of the opponent's ground game range. One of the most fundamental techniques any character with a DP anti-air will do against Cammy, for instance, is backdash plus pump the DP in case she does dive kick, especially close dive kicks. It's also important to know how to anti-air from where you're standing. A lot of people, when the opponent forward jumps at them pretty close, they're already walking forward, and they want to keep walking forward for a moment before they do an anti-air. They either start the input too late, or give up on anti-airing altogether. As soon as you see the opponent jump, unless the movement is involved in how you want to anti-air them, such as walking underneath them, you should stop thinking about where you want to be and just instantly start inputting the anti-air from where you are. Most light DPs are pretty... This is less true if you're playing a modern character. For instance, you can walk backwards for a longer time before pressing forward DP. And that will unlock new anti-air options that you wouldn't have with a classic character. But most light DPs in the game are pretty good at anti-airing from a stationary point. And if your character needs to do a back jump air-to-air, then you should already have that be in your brain before they even got off the ground, if they stepped into a range that would force you to do that. 2. Counter DI training. This is the same concept. You don't just want to practice raw DI, you want to look for other things, whatever. Pro tip, I'm sure we've all had moments where your button got absorbed by the armor of DI, but your button recovered in time for you to not get punished, and because when you inputted the counter DI, you missed the buffer window because it was occupied by the armor hit stop, and then your DI doesn't come out, and then you just block the DI instead. One thing that you can do always, every single time, is input parry after you press the counter DI button. You can always do it. Press the counter DI as soon as possible, and then immediately, like 5 frames later, just start holding parry. So if you miss the window and your DI doesn't come out, you still get a parry to come out. So you still parry the DI instead of just blocking or eating it. 3. Delay tech training. Record a variety of patterns and practice delay teching throws without eating them or getting counter hit by buttons. Everyone does delay teching, but when you practice it, when you put it into practice, it's harder to be completely consistent than you might expect, and it is something you should practice. 4. Delay button training. Same thing, but instead of a delay tech in a gap, you're inputting a delay jab or a delay crouch medium kick, whatever the situation may call for. You would also want to practice delay jump, especially in the corner, or delay forward jump. Five, offensive delay training. Knock the opponent down and then block for a moment when they get up. You either input a delay tech or a delay jab after waiting long enough to block an EXDP. Now the trick is you don't want to get accidentally back thrown by the opponent, so you need to block at the last moment and then let go of holding backwards and then press throw by itself to get a forward throw instead. 6. Throw plus anti-air. It's a big weakness of a lot of amateur players to not anti-air neutral jumps after they try a throw. If you want, you can also train to hit back jumps too if your character has the ability to, but this is much harder. Seven. Corner, throw plus anti-air. You have to cover both neutral jump and forward jump, especially forward jump. If you do not punish forward jump when you throw in the corner, it is a huge liability for you. Now, it's worth noting that not all characters' jumps are the same, their jump arcs. You'll have to practice against characters like Zangief separately from the other characters, because the point at which his jump goes over your head will be different, thus it will mess with how you normally input a crosscut DP or something. And his cross-up splash is much more dangerous than the lightweight characters that usually go clean over your head. So I would say Aki, Mariza, and Zangief should all be practiced against separately. Some punishes that work on most of the cast won't work on these three characters. 8. Shimmy training. There are two methods to shimmy. One is to commit to pressing a button only based on the fact that the opponent's body has not moved from where they were standing, but not necessarily because you saw them whiff a throw. And the other is reacting to the actual throw whiff. Some characters may be able to hit harder if they do a more assumptive commitment to a slower button. I would say you can pretty comfortably react to the genuine throw whiff with an 8-frame button, or faster, but you might have to get a little assumptive to hit a button as slow as 10 frames or slower. Drive Rush 4-framer training, just Drive Rush checking training in general. Raw Drive Rush requires the most concentration to stuff it legitimately. The distance and the button choice of the drive rush, as well as if there's any motion that the opponent does that would clue you into the fact that they're inputting it a little bit ahead of time, may allow you to react faster in some situations. It's generally a good idea to have a dedicated parry button, which is slightly faster than to react to things with a parry or perfect parry, by about like 2 or 3, maybe 4 frames. You can train against drive rush buttons with perfect parry, EXDP, or a jab check if you're very focused. There are methods of pumping EXDP while hiding your inputs in full crouch. I'd recommend finding a method of pumping EXDP secretly that would work for you. If you don't have a dedicated method, it can be really exhausting on your hands to pump DP like that. It's a lot easier on leverless or, obviously, with modern. EXDP on fake drive rush cancels, or drive rush cancels from buttons with gaps. This is most important to be practiced on like a character-by-character basis. Characters who can frame trap you with special moves off of the buttons that they're most likely to drive rush cancel from are difficult to deal with without modern or EX flash kick. For example, when Ed does stand medium kick drive rush cancel jab, That's never a true block string. There's always a gap to EXDP, theoretically, but if you pump an EXDP as soon as you block stand medium kick, you'll just get hit when he cancels into flicker instead, and it's very difficult to execute any difference between the two. Ken, with his Jinrai, is a similar situation. It's pretty hard to EXDP if he does low forward DRC with a gap in it. However, characters like Zangief, stand light kick, or Manon, stand medium punch, are characters that it's very important to EXDP, gaps in those, and they're much easier to manage. Punish training. Practice blocking suddenly, unexpectedly, and optimally punishing things based on their frame data, distance, and the situation. Combo training. Practice your combos. Button timing training. Opponents will tend to defend themselves in pressure with delay buttons, usually delay jab. And while their timing will be loose and inconsistent, you can generally practice timing, spacing, and button choice to be more or less consistently punish this behavior. And combination training. You train multiple skills at once. You train your mental stack and see what you can manage. Counter DI plus anti-air. Drive rush check plus anti-air. When you practice any given skill, also practice combo and resource management. Always try to do the optimal combo off of a given hit. You also obviously want to study things that are character-specific. At one point in scripting this, I tried to think of every single character-specific gimmick or whatever that has a training regimen specifically for it. Everything from Luke charging heavy Flash Knuckle to Mai's EX fan. But it's too much. It's too much for one video. You have to identify problems, study them to see if they have weaknesses, create means of practicing to take advantage of those weaknesses, and keep up the training. Even the most specific of applicable skills require dedicated practice if you want to shore up your consistency. You should probably practice blocking every single character's drive rush overheads differently so that you can react to each of their different animations. There's countless moves that you need to practice perfect parrying on reaction, Honda's Headbutt, Blanca Ball, Aki, EX Cruel Fate, Ken Dragon Lash, etc. So train, sleep, play, train, sleep. I recommend training after you play real matches or ranked sets in a given day rather than before matches. Training, I think, is best to do before you sleep so you get the proper muscle memory coded into you during the nighttime. And it's detrimental to your success to train yourself to any state of exhaustion before playing real matches, and I think that training is a good way to end a session, especially any frustrating sessions, because it will take the emotion away from winning and losing, and it gives you the most sense like your efforts are productive. Like there's something you can do. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.